A major signing is imminent following the Toronto Maple Leafs giving Jake McCabe an extension. A new report has come out revealing a major update surrounding contract talks between John Tavares and the front office of the Toronto Maple Leafs. We're going to break down those reports and discuss what it can mean going forward, as John Tavares is playing a big part into this Maple Leafs season and their success so far, especially in yesterday's game. So we're going to break all that down in this episode. But before we get into it, quick reminder, if you're a part of the percentage that aren't subscribed to the channel, this is the place to be for daily Leafs content. So make sure to hit that button. And shout out to everybody who was in our stream yesterday. It was a big one. The Leafs beat the undefeated Winnipeg Jets. And Darius was on the back of John Tavares. He had a hat trick yesterday. And amidst all of this is the talks of a John Tavares extension being on the horizon. And obviously, Brad Living is in office. He had a big Jake McCabe extension yesterday, 5 years, like we covered, $4.5 million. And new reports are starting to surface surrounding John Tavares' camp and Brad Living in the front office. So the Leafs and alternate captain John Tavares' camp, led by a veteran agent, had contract discussions. While they're not there yet, the dialogue will continue with mutual interest in continuing the relationship. And this is something that's been talked about ad nauseum for a while, but had the Leafs and John Tavares, John Tavares is a family here. He wants to stay a Toronto Maple Leaf. Of course, he probably wants to, he's not going to be able to get the $11 million he's making now, but he's going to take a big discount. And there was some discourse about whether or not the Leafs should do it. He's still been a very good player so far throughout this season. And it seems like the extension, or like the article says, and we'll dive into it deeper here, there is mutual interest in continuing the relationship between the Toronto Maple Leafs and John Tavares. And it seems like at this point, an extension is imminent. Now, whether that happens over the next couple of weeks or couple of months is yet to be seen, but it is definitely going to happen. I don't see a world where the Toronto Maple Leafs and John Tavares don't come to some sort of extension.
No, and this is a guy who does not want to play anywhere else. I think that much is very obvious. Like you said, he has his family here. He's from here. He wanted to come back. I mean, he was one of the biggest, major free agents at the time to sign with the Toronto Maple Leafs, where, in a time where that didn't really happen anymore, right? And he started this trend of guys coming back home to play. So I think this is a guy who wants to stay here. I think the Toronto Maple Leafs want him as well. Obviously, the salary is going to be a big question, and how many years, because they've been dishing out a lot of years to a lot of older guys recently. So I do wonder about that, how long the contract's going to be. But I don't think Tavares is going to have a hard time taking a discount here. I think he wants to be here. I think he wants to win here. And when I say a discount, he's still going to make pretty good money, because this is a guy who clearly after last night can still play on your second line. I was being critical of him last week, and he really wasn't performing. But again, he was sick last week. He lost 8 pounds. I think there's something that plays into that, because obviously he played a fantastic game last night when it really mattered. I mean, they were playing the Winnipeg Jets undefeated. There were stakes to this game, and he came out to play and he played well. So clearly he still has it. I do think that his role will diminish. Obviously them running him on the second line last game, we'll see if that sticks, but his role is going to diminish, and his salary will be cut more than in half. And I'm just really curious to see what that number is going to be, but it's going to be significantly less.
Yeah, and as you can see here, while discussions are ongoing, Pierre LeBrun stressed that neither side is rushing the process. I don't know if there's a huge rush from the team's perspective. There's mutual desire between the team and John Tavares to get something done at some point. John Tavares, of course, calls Toronto home. He's raising a family in Toronto, but I think from the Leafs' perspective, it's something they want to get done. Now, this was obviously a few days ago. It's interesting now because they obviously made the Jake McCabe signing. I would not be surprised if they go ahead and make the John Tavares extension over the next few weeks, especially given the fact that it's not super clear what the number will be, but we know that it's going to be significantly less than the $11 million AAV. And you see this here, the delicate dance here is finding a sweet spot on what a pay cut looks like from Tavares' current $11 million AAV. They're not there yet, but the dialogue will continue. There's mutual interest in continuing this relationship. So he continues to express the fact that the deal is going to get done. It's just a matter of when. And again, looking at John Tavares, I mean, he had 65 points. This was, of course, last season. And he's been a very interesting player. And again, last season was considered a down year for him, Darius, and he still put up 65 points. And of course, this year he's gotten off to a hot start. He has 3 goals in yesterday's game, and he has more goals than that in the season, of course. But he's entering his age 34 season, so the extension will be when he's 34 years old, when it starts and kicks in next year, approaching 35 at that point. So there is some question marks surrounding that, but I like what we're getting from him so far. And you can see this here. There's something happening from the point of view that there have been contract talks back and forth between their camp. So it's interesting. Again, it's supposed to pick up again in the near future. And this is, of course, we had the Jake McCabe extension happen yesterday. So things are really starting to pick up there. But he's been a very good player. Even in a down year, he still put up 65 points. Will he put up 65 points again this year? it's possible. But the hat trick is certainly going to help towards that. But he's just a good veteran presence, and he helps his team win, and that's what they're trying to do.
Yeah, and I think he can put up 65 points. I think he can score more than 65 points if the power play gets going, right? That'll certainly help because without that 5-on-5 and with him playing majority of the season so far in the third line, I don't know if that's going to happen. But the Leafs have three major free agents still left to sign. They got to get Matthew Knies a deal. They have to get, of course, Mitch Marner a deal and John Tavares. In terms of priority, I think John Tavares, I don't see him going anywhere else, right? I think they can take their time. Obviously, you don't want to disrespect the player or anything, but if there's an open line of communication, I'm sure it's going to be fine, and it might even wait till the season's done. But I could see a world where it gets done pretty quickly here, where they just want to get it out of the way, and probably I'm sure they're seeing eye to eye on many things here because is Tavares going to make $1 million on his next contract? No, he's still a very useful player, and with the salary cap going up, he's still going to make a significant amount of money. So I am very curious to see what that looks like. But you know what? I think Brad Treliving, if you're him, you got to focus on, you don't want Mitch Marner to touch free agency, right? Well, you got to make a decision on him. That's first of all. And then with Matthew Knies, he's playing himself into a very big contract right now. He's playing really well. So John Tavares might be on the back burner right now, but I could see a world where it gets done pretty shortly here just to get it out of the way because I think they're both on the same terms. I think they want John Tavares back, and I think John Tavares wants to be back. I think it's just a matter of how many years and how much money. And I would think it's probably going to be in the $4 million range, maybe $5 million, something like that. I could see him taking a pay cut to stay here and try and help the team win.
Yeah, let us know in the comments what your ideal contract number would be, whether that's years, AAV, total price, up to you. But you can see here again, he wants to be here. I want to be here long term, and hopefully that happens. That was, of course, prior to the season during the captaincy handoff. And again, we saw Jake McCabe yesterday. Could have got a 5x5 somewhere. He took a little bit of I guess you could call it a pay cut. He signed early, you got the security there, and injuries and things happen. So McCabe took the guaranteed money here, but he could have got more elsewhere. So they saved some money on that front, and maybe they used some of that extra money, put it towards Matthew Knies. It could be something towards John Tavares, whatever it ends up being. But Matthew Knies is probably pretty high in their priority list, especially given the fact that you mentioned Mitch Marner. I don't know if they're going to pursue that route if they want to give him $13 million. But any final thoughts on this? It's a very interesting one. It's good to see that the dialogue is picking up. They still have a lot of work to do, and I would like to see them get, especially the Matthew Knies extension done, but I'm not sure if it's in any of Matthew Knies' interest to go ahead and sign an extension during the season when he's playing the best hockey of his career. Had another goal yesterday, has goals in 4 of his last 5 games. Sorry, he's just been absolutely rolling, and he's going to get paid more and more with each game, similar to William Nylander last year, which they locked up, to be fair. But a lot of contract talks are ongoing, and moves are certainly imminent, especially given the fact that in 2 days they have that November 1st deadline. It's technically 3 days before they had to make a move regarding Järnkrok and Yanni Hakanpää returning from the LTIR.
Yeah, Brad Treliving is certainly putting in work this week. And I mean, in terms of Mitch Marner, I think a decision's only going to actually be made around the playoffs and what happens in the playoffs. I do think that. I don't think a contract's going to get done until that point. If I'm Matthew Knies, I'm not signing anything until the season's done because I'm playing fantastic right now. So I think he's going to continue to do that. And in terms of John Tavares, I think it's a matter of, when, not if at this point. He's going to re-sign. He's going to be a Toronto Maple Leaf unless something catastrophic happens and they think they have to move away from it or he wants far too much money, but I don't see that happening. I think he wants to return to be a Maple Leaf until he retires, and I think he wants to help the team win, whatever that may look like. I think he, we saw it with the captaincy handoff. It's all class from John Tavares, so I think he's going to return to be a Maple Leaf.
Yeah, let us know in the comments your thoughts are on all this, and who do you have as the number one priority for the Leafs to sign in this regular season? Let us know. Thank you guys for watching.